Yesterday I made a video on learned helplessness, which, just to briefly summarize, is a phenomenon where when we experience an acute period of inescapable pain, we sometimes overgeneralize and believe that that acute period of inescapable pain actually represents a chronic period of inescapable pain. Because we think there is no way to stop the pain, we no longer attempt to try to escape the pain, which then does actually cause the pain to be chronic, but not because it had to be, but because we have falsely learned that there's no way to get away from it. In the study that I referenced in that video, the pain was physical and it was an electrified floor. And at the end of that video, I encouraged people to test their floor and make sure that it is still electrified, because sometimes it's not and we don't realize it. Many of you said, and I am paraphrasing here, "Sweet metaphor, bro, but what does that actually mean?" In other words, what would it mean to test my floor? Like, what am I actually physically doing if I'm testing my floor? I can't tell you exactly what that means for you because I do not know your life. But what I can do is tell you a little story about what it has meant for me, one example of many, and hopefully you can take my example and kind of lay your own experience on top of the blueprint that I'll lay out for you today and try to get somewhere with this concept. So academically, my example is school related. High school, my GPA, when I graduated high school, which was like not a for sure thing that I was even going to achieve that. When I did graduate high school, my cumulative GPA was about a 2.8. So not phenomenal. Like, I was not even in the top half of my class. Freshman year of college was even worse. I think I had about a 2.0. And as I've mentioned on here before, I actually failed introduction to psychology. So I had a lot of reason to believe that I was not going to be able to succeed academically. The pain, the electrified floor in my academic experience was my mental health. The reason that I was achieving the grades that I was achieving is that my mental health at that time was very poor. And when your mental health is not in a good place, it's difficult. I mean, it's difficult to do like anything, but it's difficult to achieve academically. And so I had every reason to believe I should just give up. You know, there's no reason to continue with school. But I had this slight inkling after my first year of college that my mental health was finally starting to get a little bit better. And so I decided to try again. And I enrolled in a program for an associate's degree in network administration. Now, I fully expected to fail because that is what had been happening to me for the past 7 or 8 years academically. And so I thought it was just going to happen again. I didn't actually expect it to go well, but I just felt like I had to test it just to see what would happen, just to make sure that I was ready to close this door on my life for good. And I ended up doing okay. Not great, but okay. I made a couple of friends in that program, which I think really helped. And 18 months later, I graduated with an associate's degree in about a 3.0, or about a B average, which is not spectacular, but it's a lot better than what I had done before. And so not only did I have an associate's degree at this point, I also had built up a little bit of confidence. Not a lot, but a little bit. Just enough for me to feel like I wanted to try a bachelor's. And again, start of the bachelor's, this was like real school, like real college. My associate's degree was not a super academically rigorous institution. And my bachelor's program, it was a pretty good school. So again, I'm right back at square one. Like, I don't think this is going to work. I don't think I'm going to succeed at it. But I just felt like, again, I need to try. I just need to see how far I can get before I run face first into a brick wall and fall flat on my face and get embarrassed. And I actually did better in the bachelor's program than with my associates. And I graduated with about a 3.5, including a 3.8 my last 2 years. And so then, you get the point, right? I'm not going to walk you through my entire academic journey because I was in school for a long time. But the end of this story is I'm sitting here with a doctorate. And I never thought that was going to be the case. I had what I would have considered to be a really solid body of evidence telling me there's no way that's ever going to happen for you, buddy. There was 200 kids in high school smarter than you, and in your grade. I went to a big high school, and why would you think you're going to be one of the few that ends up with a doctorate? Like those numbers don't make sense. But I just felt like I had to keep testing it. And so that example, again, is academics, right? That may not be your example. It could be relationships. It could be careers. It could be going to the gym. I don't know your life. And so I don't know what your life has falsely taught you cannot do. But what I do know is that there are these periods of our lives. So mine was in my lowest point, like 13 to 20 was my lowest point. And I learned many lessons during that period of my life, one of which is I'm not very smart and I don't do well at school. But what I have found time and time again, both from myself and others that I work with, is that the lessons we learn during our lowest periods of time often only apply to that period of time and the circumstances under which that period of time occurred. In other words, my inability to perform academically was only true during this acute period of time because I was experiencing this pain that I didn't have a solution for, but I eventually started to figure it out. You don't automatically unlearn the lessons from your lowest point just because you're not in your lowest point anymore. You usually need some kind of proof that, oh, that's not how my life works anymore. That thing maybe was true about me then, or was true about my life then, but it's not true about my life now. The only way, I know it's scary, but the only way you can ever really find out if it's still true or not is to test it. And so this was just a quick clarifying video to hopefully explain a little bit better what I meant by testing your floor. I hope that you can use my example to figure out what that could mean for you in your own life. Take care, and I'll see you next time.